Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. My name's Zach from Reexamined, and I suppose you're wanting a new review from me. Well, you're in luck. I've been working on one on the new indie game, the Sexy Brutale. Enjoy. The main driving point of the Sexy Brutale, and indeed I think the only true reason you should spend time playing it in 2017, a year flush with amazing must-play games, is the core concept of the gameplay. The game features you playing as Lafcadio Boone, an elderly priest who sneaks around in an elaborate mansion with the titular name of the Sexy Brutale. All of the guests are personal friends of the mysterious owner of the mansion, but they are all being killed off one by one. Your goal is to intercede and stop the murders from happening. The catch is that you cannot be in the same room as anyone else at the same time. And on top of this, you are given a magic pocket watch that allows you to rewind time to the start of the day, allowing you to follow the characters around, learn their movements, and eavesdrop to hear important information, all before you figure out a plan to stop the murders from happening. All this combined makes the game feel like you are playing an Agatha Christie novel, which I found to be really exciting. For an example, in the tutorial section of the game, you witness one of the hotel staff grab a gun from one room and take it into the chapel and shoot a man dead. Rewinding time, you can find the man opening a safe, which drops a blank round onto the floor. Acting quickly, you have to wait for him to leave the room and then grab the blank round and replace it in the gun, which allows the man enough time to fight off his attacker. This of course is just the tutorial, and some of the later deaths become much more elaborate. Some sections of the game involve you having to save two characters at one time. It's important to note that all of the characters are pretty interesting. The game segments itself into sections where you are only allowed to rescue one or two characters per loop, and at the start of each of these sections, you get to see a cool splash art with each of the characters, their names, and a title. Which leads me into the mask mechanic of the game. Each of the characters shows up at the mansion wearing a unique mask relating to their personality in some way. Every time you save a character, you get to keep their mask, which stays with you even when you rewind time. Majora's Mask, anybody? Each of these masks gives you a unique power. For example, one of the guests is a blind woman with super sensitive hearing. Once you have her mask, you can hear when people whisper, or even when they are walking in the next room. This gives the game a sense of progression and fleshes out your toolkit on repeat runs. It's also important to note that each day, which takes place over the course of 12 hours in-game, is roughly 15 to 20 minutes in real life. You can also fast forward to the 4th hour or the 8th hour if you wish, so there's not much waiting around. The fact that this game respects your time so well is really nice. I will say, however, that one of the later puzzles is a bit ridiculous, and it forced me to replay a day about 4 times after I had already figured out the solution, which took me another 3 in-game days. Needless to say, this was pretty frustrating, but it did give me a sense of urgency to make sure I could get everything done to stop the murder from happening. One of my favorite aspects of the game is that throughout the day, different sounds or effects will happen in the house at a very specific time. At first, these all seem random to the player, but as you solve more of the murders, you realize that each one of these events corresponds with a person's death. So every time you hear the gunshot at 4 o'clock, you know the first guest has already died, no matter where you are in the house. It's a simple touch, but it goes a long way to make you feel a sense of dread with the characters repeatedly dying every day. Now, all of this isn't to say the game doesn't have flaws. It certainly does. As I said at the very beginning, the main draw for anyone to play this game is its concept, which I think is brilliant. But the gameplay can feel clunky sometimes. I played on my PC, and the point and click combined with some key presses felt really awkward. Also, the game can sometimes freak out while you're trying to interact with some of the doors, and I would swear it was going to crash. And it's not like this game is a technical masterpiece or anything, so that was a little off-putting. I would compare it to some of Telltale's more recent games and their technical hiccups.
Okay, there's only one thing you have to take away from all this. Take it easy.
Also, I mentioned the difficulty I had with one puzzle in particular. Again, this difficulty was after I figured out the solution, so it was pretty annoying to have to rush around the house and try and fail time and time again. I don't want to get into the story too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but I think the ending is very interesting. They backload the story so you don't really know what is going on and why the murders are happening until you've saved all the guests once. There are a few hints here or there, but I think you'd be hard-pressed to figure anything out, since you don't really even see the bad guy until over halfway through the game, and even then it's a very brief appearance. But you better believe this game has a twist ending, and while I am mostly positive on the ending, I wasn't in love with it. However, I could see some people really loving the ending of this game, and I could also see some people outright disliking the ending. At the very least, it's been about a week since I finished the game, and I'm still thinking about the ending, so that's a good sign. By now, over a month after the game's release, it has received mostly positive reviews, so I think it's safe to say that this is in fact a good game. I'm curious to see what kind of lasting legacy it has. I certainly think the Sexy Brutale will spawn other games like it, and I look forward to playing them. Although I do hope that future iterations drop the isometric view in favor of something more top-down, and fix some of the clunky controls. Oh, you're back! Ultimately, I think the Sexy Brutale is a very interesting game, and I hope my video has encouraged you to pick it up if you haven't already. As of recording, the game is only $20 on Steam and lasts about 7 hours, so you should be able to finish it in about 2 to 3 sittings. And with that, I've said my piece on the Sexy Brutale. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't be afraid to like, comment, and subscribe. Once again, my name is Zach with Reexamined. Stay classy.